There's a couple of skills that I consider to be a mandatory thing on your playthrough. Stellar Blade holds a very close similarity to that of Sekiro when it comes to the combat system. But when it comes to the actual combat mechanics and upgrade system, it's fairly similar to that one that you see on Liza P. What's the problem with that? Some core elements of the gameplay loop are locked behind skills, and these skills are things that you need to take ASAP. I don't really see why do they keep choosing this kind of design choice for the gameplay mechanics. This is something that they had to patch on Liza P because the community didn't like this. These skills that I'm telling you about are skills that you need for survival and for the gameplay core elements of the mechanic combat system work as intended. Some of these skills are going to be just locking you behind some things that you should be able to do at the core combat system of the gameplay elements of Stellar Blade. Then again, some of them you are going to unlock them through story, but some other ones you're not, and you're going to need them. Now, most of them you're going to see them right here on the survival tab, and you have perfect dodge. That one is going to be unlocked by story, I believe, if my memory serves me well. But one that is not going to be unlocked by story is going to be the double dodge. The double dodge, it's so much very needed. You actually do need the double dodge to move throughout the battlefield. We know that we like to panic roll, and panic rolling, it's just an instinctive thing that we like to do, but that is not all. The panic rolling or the double dodge is going to allow you to get away from the enemy when you feel that you need to get some distance from the enemy. Otherwise, you're going to be locked into that animation that it just seems like it's doing something for you, but in reality you're going to get hit in the face because you're not going to be able to dodge away that fast. So, double dodge, it's a mandatory thing. Now, prior to the double dodge, before you can actually unlock the double dodge, you're going to have the Reflex Boost. This makes it easier to use the perfect dodge. And the iframes that you get for a perfect dodge with the Reflex Boost are actually quite nice. And since, like I said, these are mechanics that are forced on the game, they are a gameplay loop. It's not something that you can bypass, it's not something like you can build and adopt a different playstyle. No, you're always going to have to be doing perfect dodging, parrying, bling. You have to get good at those systems and mechanics if you want to be proficient at the Stellar Blade combat system. That being said, there is really no incentive when it comes to the perfect dodges that much, because you're not going to get that much in return. This is also something that should be taking inspiration from Sekiro. Whenever you do a perfect dodge, or I can't remember the name of the skill, but whenever you have that prompt to jump into the enemy or to dodge towards the enemy instead of the parry, you get something, you get a punishment. In here you don't, you have to purchase the punishments. Reflection 1. The Reflection 1 is going to allow you to retaliate after you do a perfect dodge, and more often than not that is going to contribute to the stun of the enemies. Then you have Reflection 2, which is going to change. This actually takes a little bit of a while, and just have in mind that every time that you perfect dodge, you have to hold either square or triangle. What's going to be the difference between them? Square is going to be a little bit more of a personal retaliate, and then the triangle, you're going to use it whenever you're doing a perfect dodge. You have lots of enemies, it's not going to deal that much damage, but it's going to have a little bit more of a AoE attack. The same goes for Blink. There's different kind of attack patterns and colors that the enemies are going to do. In that regard, you have Blink and you also have Repulse. Repulse, it's not unlocked. You have to unlock it as soon as possible. There's going to be many enemies that are going to have that little pink flash that you see right there, and you have to be able to bypass them. Now, one very important note that you need to have about the skill is the following. To actually get good at using Blink and Repulse, you have to look at Eve's blade, at the sword, not necessarily at the animation that you see on the enemy, on the color that you see on the enemy, because when you see the sword glowing, that's when you have to press the button. It's not going to work if you press the button as soon as you see the animation from the enemy, or that you wait some time for it, because as you can see right here, that didn't work, but you did see the blink on Eve's sword. Whenever Eve's sword is blinking on that color, that's when you have to press the animation. Now that being said, I can't stress enough how important it is for you to have threat detection, because it's going to make it easier. It's going to give you more frames to be able to perform these actions. Similar to that, you have the perfect parries, but you also have the focus boosts, which makes it easier for you to parry. This is very much needed for you to be able to perform parrying a little bit better. And yeah, the difference between the frames that you have for this, it's just actually quite huge. One thing again, it holds the same similarity to the one that we have for the retaliation, for the reflection. Parrying is going to break the god of the enemy to some extent, but it's not going to retaliate nor give you any kind of reward per se immediately. For that, you have to purchase it. You have to purchase the Kanta right here. After a perfect parry, you're going to hold the square and then triangle. And then you have the counter 2, which after a perfect parry, you can just hold the triangle. This can be furthermore improved as you move forward through the game, but this should be purchased ASAP, because they are going to be the ones that are going to give you some kind of retaliation, pattern redundance against the enemy, some kind of reward, not only anything per se. Now, one thing that you need to have in mind about this is that it's very tricky. Your muscle memory is going to struggle quite a bit while you are getting good at this thing, because the thing is that once you hold this thing, you will notice that you also have your special skills. So this is what it requires for you to do a perfect parry. I don't like this control scheme that they have chosen for this specific kind of things, but with a little practice, just have in mind that be sure that you're going to you get a little bit of an extra time before after the actual deflect. And also have in mind that you cannot use it immediately when they are doing a combo, so it has to be done when you know that you're going to be somewhat safe right here. So I wait for the second one and then I use it. And then only one press. It only requires for you to hold the square, it doesn't require for you to hold the triangle. Another one of the gameplay core elements that should be natively given to you and not purchasable as a skill comes from the attack tree, which is ambush. Now, ambush is basically backstab. The thing is that backstabbing in this game is only possible whenever you're outside of combat. There's many situations where the enemies are just laying rounds out there. You see the enemies out there, of course, and they are in groups, and sometimes it's difficult to deal with groups. That is why you have to chain this with chain charge. So one thing about one very cool or neat thing that I like about this is that you don't actually have to dabble that much with your running. So for example, if I'm running and I know that someone is going to attack me right there, as soon as you lock on them, you don't necessarily have to like walk slower, because Eve, as you can see, she's going to do it by herself and they are not going to notice you provided there's no one else. And then you have the ambush right here, and it deals tremendous amount of damage. More often than not, it's going to immediately kill whatever that you have in front of you. A fairly similar thing happens with chain charge, because chain charge is going to allow you to immediately get rid or at least start the combat with the next one that you have in front of you, making things a little bit smoother, making things a little bit easier. So it's just a little bit of a extra little thing. You don't really need to waste your points in this one skill if you don't want to, but it is very useful as well, of course. Now the final one that I consider to be a must, just because it's going to give you again something of the core gameplay elements, it's beta chain. What this does is that it essentially power ups your combo. If you hold down the last input of a combo, it's going to give you that little extra finisher. That finisher is going to deal more stun damage, it's also going to deal more damage per se, and it's also going to charge your energy that faster. And that is also true not only for the basic combos, you can also do the heavy combos right here and hold the final input, and that is going to power up as well. So those are the skills that I consider to be a must to purchase as soon as you begin playing, and purely because, like I said, these are core gameplay elements that you need to have as a full experience that is just locked behind a skill tree, which I don't like. I don't really like core gameplay elements being from Souls games or like Sekiro likes. If that is a thing, if that is something. But yeah, your gameplay experience is going to get so much better by unlocking this thing as soon as possible. If you like the content, like it is super appreciated, and also you're a gorgeous and beautiful person, you're indeed a gorgeous and beautiful person. Have a lovely, lovely day, and goodbye.